Two. There we go. What up, ladies and gents? Happy Wednesday. It is a special showtime for the Business Bros podcast. We got a good one here for you guys today. TikTok, ban on TikTok, growing on TikTok. Let's talk about all this stuff right here, right now.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Woo! Ladies and gents, Jesus Corona is in the house. And let me tell you, he's been growing his not his Instagram, Instagram too, but TikTok is all the thing right now. Like, it's a huge thing. So much it's in national news. We got the executive branch saying they're gonna ban them if we can't get a US company to buy them. And all the while, it doesn't matter what's going on in politics, people are still enjoying all that time on TikTok. Jesus, welcome to the program, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me a little bit about your TikTok career. What's going on over there?
Yeah. So, oh man, where do you even start with TikTok, right? Like there's so many narratives going on right now. It's crazy. But yeah, so kind of how I got started on TikTok, it was about October of last year, actually. I really fell into Gary Vee, listening to a lot of Gary Vee at that time. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't a single video of his at that time where he wasn't calling you some sort of name for not being on TikTok. Right. So eventually I got tired. I was like, all right, Gary Vee, like, I'm tired of you calling me these names. I'm going to hop on the platform just to see what happens. At first, it didn't go as well as I expected it. I saw a lot of people around me start to blow up, but I just couldn't get the feel for the app. I was trying to do things that everybody else was doing, you know, the dancing, the singing, the lip singing, all that stuff. But it wasn't me. So I feel like you could see that in the camera, you could see that in the videos. And so people, they weren't interested. And it wasn't until I kind of shifted the narrative and started focusing more on the things that I actually legitimately like to do, that kind of started to build a little bit of momentum with my account.
Check this out, dude. You're a Gary Vee fan. I did this for Gary Vee.
Act like you never seen YouTube before. Content galore. Like, bam, he came out of nowhere at all. Started making videos more than before. Wine Library, of course. Empathy wasn't a thought yet. Or VaynerMedia.
Dude, I did a parody after for Gary Vee, because he's one of the main influencers for me that I got into the whole podcast space. Because just like you were talking about TikTok, where he's calling everybody a name for not being on TikTok, I felt the same way when he was saying, you're in business, you got to have a podcast, and then every other word in the book. Right. So I feel you. I understand that. But you did something that most people don't do. What I talk about in that song, right, is I go 90% of those podcasters out there aren't as consistent as I am. You started doing consistency. You said you tried this, you tried this, you tried this. Most people try, quit. I wouldn't even say try. They try and quit. You kept going.
Yeah. And it is difficult. You know, you put yourself in that position. You know, having gone through it, for me, it took about 2 months. And this was going on a platform where you could get 1 million followers in 2 weeks. And I was like, where's mine? Like, where's my piece of the pie? What am I doing wrong here? You know? But it really came down to me trying to fit what was already there instead of me trying to embrace like who I was and what I actually wanted to do, just because of what I thought was going to go viral at that time.
Isn't it funny how that works out? Like, I've been doing that, and I still am victim of that. I still have this whole idea of, I'm going to put something out, and then I start thinking about it. I'm like, well, that's not really trendy. When I notice that most people, when they're successful, are true to themselves. They're just who they are, right? And I guess maybe I haven't found my mojo other than doing on this whole podcast thing. I don't feel like I've had a mojo to be able to do TikToks effectively, because dude, my average views is like 150 views or something like that on my TikTok. It's horrible, and as such, I haven't been as consistent as posting on TikTok like maybe I have on my Facebook or my Instagram, and those just based on the consistency has been growing, but my TikTok is flat. So what did you finally figure out to get your TikTok rolling?
So what I quickly found out was that content that was made on other platforms for other platforms will not perform well on TikTok. Like TikTok, obviously TikTok wants to hold the user within its app, within its like walls, right, as long as possible. So TikTok actually rewards creators that create their content on the app. So anything that's like imported, TikTok can tell that it's been imported, and it won't give you the same reach that it gives a piece of content that was created within the app. So that was a very key component, especially that I noticed for a lot of people that were already had platforms and already had audiences on other platforms. They were struggling to make any sort of noise on TikTok, and it's because they all kept doing the same thing. They all kept wanting to import their content, and it just wasn't working. So that's something that I really found useful, was stay away from imported content.
Make your own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Create everything within the app, all the edits, everything. TikTok obviously likes you being in their app using their features, so they'll reward you for doing so.
So if you make your own content, you're talking about using their stuff, right?
Yep.
Like you're talking about using their filters, you're talking about using their little timer. And I've seen some creative stuff on TikTok when you have the tip of like making your own content directly on TikTok. Is there like a formula that you're using at all when you're creating content? Like is it I see a lot of this on my feed, and we'll get back to what I see on my feed anyways, but I always see like, image from this angle, image from this angle, image from this angle, image from this angle.
Yeah. So I was actually one of the first people to incorporate kind of like business content really on TikTok the way that you see it today. Cause this was October of last year. So I remember I could post any video at all, and usually get like, once I got the hang of it, and usually get like 200 to 1 million views, like no problem whatsoever. Obviously now it's a little bit harder to do that, but the way that I teach people how to do well on TikTok is for people that want to teach, or people that want to tell stories, or people that want to sell something eventually. People that do all the edits and all the crazy stuff, like that's their skill. They're good at editing, so that's why they get the attention that they get on that. What I'm telling people to do as far as recording their content on TikTok, that's beneficial if it's not something that's supposed to be visually stimulating to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I see a guy that's on TikTok, and he's one of the guys I follow, and he breaks down things like, why should you use why use an LLC? And then he breaks down, and it's just on a piece of paper. Like literally he has a notepad, and he just puts little arrows on, tax-free or pass-through entity or whatever it is that he's talking about when it comes to business. But it grabs my attention. It's one simple concept, just one little simple concept that he breaks down, and then boom, he tells it to me in an orderly fashion, and I'm like, ooh, that was interesting. What else does he got? And I go on to the next one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So teach or tell stories. Keep it short. Keep it simple.
Yeah, always. You never, ever, ever want to drag anything out. You want to be quick with your information, and you want to deliver it in short little sentences. I mean, like 10 words maximum is what I call a snippet, right? It's one sentence, is one bit of information, and then you stop the recording there, and then your next sentence should be another recording. What I've learned is that when it's chopped up like that, it actually makes it easier for the audience to like follow and comprehend what's being said, instead of it all being one fluid sentence. Chops and breaks in your content is really beneficial.
So when you talk about breaking it up and using snippets, you're not talking about like a whole new TikTok video. You're talking about like the scene might be a 60-second scene, but each I guess every time you hold the button to record, or every time you hit the record button, that's what you're talking about, a 10-word segment.
Exactly. So let's say an average piece of content, right, on TikTok should last anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds. That's usually the kind of area that you want to stick in. But within that 45-second window, you're going to have, 10 different micro segments that each last, 3 seconds. And then this one lasts 7 seconds. And then this one lasts 4 seconds that makes up the entire video. You want to deliver your information kind of choppy in that way.
10-word micro segments. That kind of makes sense. That gives me, at least as a creator, a little bit of a guideline, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, because again, I know personally I've suffered from this less now that we've been doing podcasting for a few years now, but I know I would suffer from you have this idea, you have this concept, and then you pull out the phone and you hit the record button and nothing comes out. Like you just get kind of stuck. What kind of like I guess pregame or prep do you have when you have an idea and a concept? Do you just go at it, or do you actually prepare your content pieces that you're creating?
Yeah. So what I do, and because that happens to me a lot too. I know there's a lot of people out there that have that just natural ability of like pulling out their camera and just killing it. You know, Gary Vee, for example, he could do that. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have that same natural ability, especially when you're first getting started. So what helped me a lot was when I got an idea, I would write it down. I had a Trello board. It allowed me to organize my ideas. It usually came when I was like reading a book or listening to a podcast or something like that, where I was like, oh, that would be cool to put in a TikTok format. And so I would write down the idea, and then I would go back when I'm ready to post that piece of content. I would go back to that idea and break it down even further. So I would break down each micro segment, right, that we were just talking about. I would break down what do I want to say in that micro segment, so that all of my words are being used wisely, my information is being delivered concisely and clearly.
All right, so we're gonna post content. We've decided we've had a couple ideas, right? We've written them down. I don't know if everybody uses a Trello or whatever you're gonna use,
Whatever,
Slack, or I don't know. There's all kinds of different ones that you can use. But anyways, you have a nice little management system and kind of keeps track of things. So you have an idea, you break it down, you create your micro segments, you go ahead and record it. Now we're gonna post, right? Do I tag people? Do I use hashtags? What is the value, or what information do I need to put in my post to kind of bring the most attention to my segment?
Okay, so TikTok's algorithm is really, 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 really good. Like that's something that they got going for them, and it's almost why they're getting in so much trouble, is because their algorithm is ridiculously good. So their algorithm will take a lot of things into factor as far as like where they're going to push out any particular piece of content. They're really good at listening to what you're saying, at the words, the audio part of your video, and using that to put it into context. They're really good at that. They'll also use certain like visual factors. So like if there's like writing on the video and the algorithm can see what that word is, it'll put it into context as far as like where we're gonna push it out. So like if you're trying to teach something, it's actually super beneficial to put the sticker, you know, and almost use it as like SEO. So like put a keyword in the video itself, marketing, sales, business, whatever you're trying to portray out there. Make sure that you drop that word a lot in your script, right? What you're saying, because the algorithm will pick it up and be like, this video is about this thing, so let's push it out to people that are already paying attention to this type of content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. And I'm putting this on the screen because it's valuable, right? That's one great tip that you have right here. You normally have another bro over here that's doing this as we go along, so I get to do it by myself. But that's super important, and I should say etc. at the end. That's what happens when you do it by yourself, etc. Right? But that's super important right there, because when you talk about SEO, and a lot of times we've thought about SEO more along the lines of Google, right? We create blogs, or we create individual posts or show notes or whatever, and all that kind of circulates out there on the internet, and Google kind of pulls it all together. But what you're saying here is think of your entire post as a piece of content, not just the wording you put on the side. Because I know for me personally, I was like, I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm going to either tag somebody who's in that thing, or I'm going to use a bunch of hashtags on there, and that should give me the good exposure. But what you're saying takes it a step further, and this is a little bit different. Your entire post is your SEO. You're not just what you're putting in the comment section, but the stickers that you're using, what you're actually saying, that TikTok is picking up all those different things, and then that's what's going to help you push to the audience that you want to get pushed to.
Exactly. Yeah. TikTok's algorithm is scary good.
Dude, that's dope though. How important is it to get likes and comments though? Like, I mean, there's one thing to get a lot of views, right? And that's kind of cool. The metrics, that the vanity metrics are awesome on TikTok, because you do get a lot of views. But what about the likes? What about the comments? How does that affect what you're doing? Should you be shooting for that?
Yeah. So TikTok in that regard is kind of different than every other social media platform. So likes and comments don't really factor anything when it comes to the algorithm and how it's going to rank any individual piece of content. TikTok's biggest factor when it comes to their algorithm is how long did the average person stay on your video, right? So the best way to explain it is completion percentage is the most important factor that can go into anything that you're making. Now, you have to be really careful with that, because with that being said, a lot of people think that, well, I'm going to create a 15-second video, and because it's shorter in theory, right? It should be able to hold people's attention a lot longer, which sounds true, except that, okay, so this is going to be a little hard to articulate, so just try to follow along here. So if you got 10 seconds out of a 15-second video, right? And then let's just compare that to another video that got 10 seconds out of a 20-second video, right? The video that got 10 out of 20 might actually perform better. It's very weird the way that it works, but TikTok's algorithm, what it really is looking for is just how long did people stay for your video, and it comes down to like a percentage wise. And it's very intricate and complex. The best way that I can describe is just try to stick between 30 to 45 seconds, because in terms of percentages and in terms of how long the average person sticks around for any piece of content on TikTok, that's where you're going to have the best.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot. Exactly. 30 to 45 seconds.
Well, let me dig a little bit deeper on that that aspect, because I see people on TikTok do that a lot. Like, dude, check this out. Watch, I'm gonna show you this. Like, come here, follow me. Watch, check this out. I'm gonna show you. Watch, look, I'm gonna lift this up, and then something's gonna be under here. Blah 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 blah. And the whole time you're like, what the hell is he doing? What the hell is he doing? What's he gonna look at? What's he gonna look at? And then finally you look, and you're like, oh, that was whack. And you keep going, but in terms of the algorithm, that was great, because that person got you to watch that video almost the whole way through, or all the whole way through. That's what you're talking about.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And that's the only metric that TikTok really cares about. Shares, likes, comments, all that stuff doesn't really factor into the algorithm at all.
Oh, well, and here's the thing about the shares too, is I don't think it's not a platform that is easily shareable, right? Like what I hear a lot is, hey, I saw this TikTok that, right? And I have to go to that person's phone almost and look up the stuff that they gave a heart to and be like, hey, this is the TikTok I'm talking about. Yeah. The other thing that I've noticed is people are starting to use TikTok. My wife, for example, uses TikTok almost like looking for instructions on YouTube, right? So before it would be like how to make an apple pie, and we go to Google and you type how to make an apple pie, it gives you like a recipe. You go to YouTube, how to make an apple pie, it gives you like a 7-minute video on how to make an apple pie. But you can do the same thing on TikTok, and now it's a 60-second instruction on how to make an apple pie, right? And I've seen more and more people use TikTok for that sort of thing, because of what we mentioned in one of our previous examples here, to teach and to show people how to do things. Is it better for me to have content that is instructing, or is it better for me to have content that is pulling people towards the end? Like, come follow me, watch, look at what I'm going to do. What kind of content do you think tends to work best, or what kind of content works best for you?
Well, I think that comes down to like, what is your objective with the app, right? Like, what are you trying to, what is your ultimate goal? Because both ways can work, if you're constantly teaching stuff, you're putting a message out there, eventually people are, you're going to be attracting your tribe. So eventually your following is going to grow that way. You're not going to have that same initial massive growth that a lot of these other accounts may have, because when you're teaching or when you're doing something along those lines, it tends to be very niche. It tends to be kind of along one thing. As far as like people that are doing content that's like stick until the end, is more geared towards like entertainment type of content. There's only so much stick till the end you can do when you're trying to teach something, you know?
That's absolutely true. Well, then let's move into, when you're speaking about intent, let's move into what the intent actually is. There's some people who are trying to become famous, and I like that aspect of it. I'm definitely drinking that Kool-Aid, right? The whole fame part. But the other part is the revenue, right? So it's one thing to have, and I talk to this with my students a lot. It's one thing to sit there and say, oh, cool, look at my video count. This one's got 1 million. This one's got 300,000. I have 10,000 followers, 20,000, 100,000 followers. It's great. And then my next question is, well, what happens with that? Are you making any money off that? That's always the question that comes next. And part of it has to do with, is TikTok paying people out for creating content? That's one. But the other one, which is more important and more accessible to people, is how do I convert my following into paid customers?
Yeah. Okay. So there was kind of two questions in there.
There's kind of two questions. Let's start with the first one about is the attention paying?
Yeah. Okay. So it really depends, again, like what your attention is going into the app, right? So if you eventually want to sell something, if you have the intention of selling something, you're definitely better off teaching, right? Because there's no better way to sell something than by teaching it first, right? And then you start attracting your tribe, people that are very like-minded to you and like what you're teaching eventually come to you. Those people will buy from you eventually, right? Because they're following you for that purpose. But if you go into TikTok just looking for those vanity metrics, right? You want massive followers. So you do the stuff that's going to gain a lot of views, but it's not necessarily the right views, right? So that's really where intent is very, very key. And it really goes into like sticking to what you want to do, right? Don't just put content out there that's, you start off by being educational, you start off because that's what you want to do, but you fall into this trap of like, I'm not getting views. You start comparing yourself to everybody else who's doing, ridiculous things to get views. And you're like, well, maybe if I try that, I'll get the views. And they get sucked into this like instant gratification of like, they have all these followers. And now when it comes to selling them something, they can't because they're not actually interested. Right.
You have that magic time. Yeah,
exactly. So it really is like what you were saying with like consistency is so key, especially if you eventually want to sell something or eventually you want to monetize the audience that you're capturing. Like you have to do it consistently over and over and over. And you're not going to have that same initial massive push, but it's going to be faster on TikTok than it is on any other social media platform. So that's really where you win there.
All right. So how about getting them off that platform and to maybe grabbing their emails or grabbing their phone numbers or grabbing that sort of information? So how do we convert? Do you even have a strategy for this at all? I developed a huge following on TikTok. How can I maybe move that following over and help me grow my YouTube page, or maybe help me grow my Instagram page, or maybe send them to a landing page where I collect their emails and stuff?
Yeah. So if you want to transfer audience, I had a client recently who went from 4,000 Instagram followers to 120,000 Instagram followers in one night, simply because all we were really doing, we said we were going to put out 3 videos that day on his TikTok account that were going to be specifically and kind of designed to move his audience over. And so we put out the 3 pieces of content. They were regular pieces of content, things that people already expect from him. But at the end of the video, he put a small call to action and he was like, the more in-depth version of this exact same video is on my Instagram. Go watch it if you want to know more. The videos themselves did pretty well on TikTok. So they got a lot of views. And so a lot of those followers did end up going over to his Instagram, where he put a more in-depth version of that video. And so being able to transfer audiences is fairly easy. You just have to make sure you're not sacrificing a piece of content just because you want your audience to do something. So like if you want to put a call to action in a video for your audience to do something, make sure that piece of content is educational first, provide value first, and then ask something from your audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, because otherwise they're going to give you the finger and just keep scrolling, literally give you the finger, right? The finger scroll. But Okay, so you got them to move over to the other platforms, and that's a huge plus because we have issues going on today, like we kind of hinted at the very beginning of the show, where TikTok gets into some trouble. And the most recent update I heard was that a judge banned the executive order for banning TikTok in the country based on who ends up buying them, and that kind of the whole thought of not being able to post a TikTok when you've put in that much work to build an audience, it kind of gets scary. What are you hearing in the TikTok world as far as that sort of situation, as far as, who's going to buy it, what's going to happen, what's the future hold?
Yeah, well, like pretty much everything else in the world, there's like a very split decision. You're either a firm believer that it's going to stay and there's nothing to worry about, or you're a firm believer that it's the end and you need to hop on another platform and there's nothing to do about it. That there is no in between. I personally think TikTok is fine. I do think it's going to be okay. But
who knows?
Exactly, and the ban, and then the ban for the ban, and then all of a sudden they want this, and then this company came in and want this percentage, and it's like, what is even happening anymore? Like what's going on?
Yeah, nobody knows. I mean, I guess that's the real truth of the answer is nobody knows what's going to happen. And you're right. There's both sides of the table. People are worried in either way. Well, tell me a little bit about your company. What is it? What is mogulinfo.com? What do we find there if we go there, and what kind of information do we get?
Yeah, so Mogul Info is a personal brand accelerating program. So basically what we do is we leverage all of the most beneficial social media networks at any given moment. And right now it just happens to be TikTok. We also leverage LinkedIn, Instagram, anything that's relevant to you. And we help explode your personal brand, help explode your presence online. And then we'll deliver a sales funnel for you once we've established that brand for you, so that any traffic that you've been building, you've been hyping up, any product, any offer that you want to launch, you can dump them into the sales funnel and get started with your business. So,
Jesus, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here because I get a lot of DMs, whether it's in LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever, saying, "Dude, we can promote your stuff. We'll give you 10,000 followers in the next day." Like, I'm scared of that, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love the number just for the vanity metrics, but what does it matter if I have 10,000 followers if I put a post and 3 people comment, right? It doesn't bring the same value. What makes you different from those guys?
So those guys are just going to spam you with a bunch of robots and a bunch of fake followers. So you will definitely want to stay away from anyone who's offering you 10,000 followers overnight or anything like that. But so we don't worry about vanity metrics, right? So we worry about the long-term play of establishing a personal brand online. We understand that it's a long-term play. So we help you build that out, but we also offer what you can call short-term solutions to get you instant results for that long-term plan, so that you're not launching this personal brand and waiting for it to monetize. So we're very aggressive in when we initially start anyone's campaign to make sure that we're not buying followers or anything like that, but we're not interested in vanity metrics. We're interested in delivering your money back, So that's what we'll do. So if you have a high ticket offer, or if you have a coaching, if you have anything that's high ticket, pretty much, we'll help you establish your brand online, and we'll help you generate leads for that thing. So.
And what do you value the high ticket at? Are we talking $500, $1,000, $10,000? What's a high ticket item where it would bring enough value for that?
Yeah, so this is for anyone based on the results that we've had. Anyone that has an offer of $3,000 or more, whether that be monthly or one time, those type of clients usually have the best results with us.
Awesome, dude. All right, real quick, we're running low on time here. Can you tell for our listening audience, how do we get a hold of you, and what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so it's the social media handle is at Real Jesus Corona, and that'll be on Instagram and on TikTok. And the best way to contact me is if you send me a DM on Instagram. So I'm usually responsive there. So.
Surprise, surprise, a social media guy answering a DM. All right, now I got to ask a funny personal question. Jesus Corona,
Yeah.
How much crap did you get for Corona? And then your name is Jesus of all things, right? You know it. How did that work out for you the last 6 months?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I've spent my whole life dealing with, the first name issues.
Yeah.
But now the last 6 months, everyone's been giving me crap about the last name. So it's an interesting perspective on life.
Oh man, dude, I can imagine how much shit you get from all your friends, dude. I mean, gosh, it'll never end, dude. It'll never end.
Oh well.
But you know what? You know what though? I mean, you're getting the attention, right? So
Yeah,
regardless of what happens, when they hear the name Jesus or Corona, you're the first one that pops into their head, right? And if you're in marketing and business, that's exactly what we're looking for. So, kudos to your parents. They knew before they even knew.
They made me SEO friendly. Yay.
Exactly. All right, Jesus. Hey, man, thank you very much for coming on the program today. Really appreciate you taking the time and sharing all that information.
Thank you for having me on. It was fun. Thank you.
Cool, man. All right, ladies and gents. So we got this special show, the 1 o'clock episode. We got another one for you later on tonight at 4 p.m. So we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace. And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.